Hi, I'd like to welcome you to another part of our Emerging HR Professional Series. And today we are speaking with Gina Smith from Freeze and Nichols. Gina, could you take a couple of seconds just to tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Sure. I'm responsible for organization development at Freeze and Nichols, and it's part of HR in our organization. And I've been there for 10 years. The company does civil engineering, architecture, transportation, lots of infrastructure engineering and support. It's a job that allows me to do lots of creative development for individuals, for groups, and for our clients.
Excellent. So how and where did you get your professional start in training?
Well, I started in HR just as a generalist, and I got my PHR, and I had my master's degree in HR management. And I enjoyed that very much, but I found that my passion was in the training and development sections. And so I also got into TQM at the time, Total Quality Management. Actually studied with W. Edwards Deming, who was the founder of Total Quality Management back in the day, and found that I really enjoyed working with groups for improvement, whether it was process improvement or group development or individual development. And I found that that was my passion. So I started focusing more that way and then accepting jobs that were in that area versus just the HR generalist role.
Okay. And so what do you find most challenging about being in training?
You know, I think the most challenging part of training is when, again, we're dealing with organizational change, individual change, individual development, and I find that sometimes people want to throw training as a solution to many, many problems, when training is really only for skills and knowledge. It's not necessarily for behavioral change unless the individual or the group realizes that they want to change. So it's more, the challenge is initiating that change management, awareness of the need for development, and then the training is really the last step. Unfortunately, sometimes my internal clients, my managers, prefer to jump into, let's just train the person, or let's just do some training for our group. And without the awareness, without the openness to be able to say, we need to change things. And many times the training goes without much results.
Yes, I understand. I've run into that as well. You know, just somebody needs to be trained, but training is not always the answer, immediate answer. But how do you stay on top of trends and changes in your field?
So I find ATD, Association of Talent Development, to be just golden in my field. SHRM, I use SHRM a lot. I use their websites. I go to their conferences. I also find lots of good webinars and books that are constantly being put out there. It's kind of a neat part of our field, HR and organization development, is that the people that are in the field, the knowledge leaders, they're prolific in their webinars and their books and the conferences. And so when I take my walk in the morning, I put on my webinar, and that's one way to kind of stay fresh while you're multitasking.
Excellent. What advice would you give to someone wanting to break into the training, learning, and or organizational development areas?
My best advice to someone who's trying to get into this is to don't say no to anything. So when you're in HR, if you feel like I like HR, I'd like to be a part of something with working with people, take on as many tasks or as many roles as you can to get your feet wet. Get into it, learn it, feel it, and see if it is really right for you. As you get into it and you start feeling it and it becomes right for you, then you can start honing down or focusing your choices of roles. Otherwise, I think that sometimes a mistake might be if we say no to other roles and I only want training or I only want organization development. Unfortunately, those roles there aren't a lot of them out there. And so when we say yes to the different types of roles, first of all, it develops us, keeps us sharp, and helps us to learn what we like. But in addition, it makes us more ready for the elusive OD role when it does arrive. Companies also don't know that they need a group or a person in charge of OD or training. They don't really, they're kind of figuring it out themselves. And so as we individuals learn and develop in HR and in OD, we're able to help the organization and kind of focus in on what's needed.
Sounds great. Well, Gina, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your journey with us. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.